Ren stood near the wide window of the warship, looking out at the green and blue planet below. The ship moved slowly, its engines making a soft hum through the metal floor. Ren's dark boots were worn from years of walking across steel decks. He had been a soldier for 3 years, but this mission felt different. It was quiet, secret, and only his name was on the order. Inside the control room, tall screens showed maps of forests, rivers, and mountains. Red marks blinked where the alien queen was believed to hide. Commanders spoke in low voices, but Ren only listened to one voice, the main officer standing beside him. The officer's name was Commander Solon, an old soldier with white hair. In a strong voice, Solon said, "This mission is not like your past ones. You won't have a team. No backup, no second chance. You land, you find her, and you finish it. Humanity cannot grow with her alive." Ren nodded. He didn't answer right away. He had heard many times that aliens were dangerous, that they stopped human colonies from spreading. But every time he fought before, he had never seen an alien queen. Only soldiers and machines. This time, the order was direct: remove the queen, stop the threat. The ship's metal doors opened to the hangar. A small landing craft waited, painted gray with scratches from many past landings. Ren stepped inside, his rifle and supplies strapped to his chest. Solon's last words followed him as the hatch closed. "You are humanity's shield. Do not fail." The landing craft entered the planet's atmosphere. Fire and light flashed against the windows before calming into blue skies and rolling white clouds. As the craft dropped lower, Ren saw endless forests glowing in rich teal colors. Taller and thicker than any trees on Earth, rivers ran like silver threads, and mountains rose like dark teeth. The craft landed softly in a small clearing. As the door opened, warm air filled with a strange floral scent rushed in. Ren stepped out carefully, his boots sinking slightly into moss. He looked around, scanning the area. There was no sign of movement, only the sound of distant birds and rustling leaves. Ren began walking toward a marked direction on his tracker. The forest was quiet, but it felt alive. Trees had smooth, twisting trunks that shimmered slightly under sunlight. Strange plants with wide leaves moved as if they breathed. For the first hour, Ren saw no danger, but as he moved deeper into the woods, mist rolled in, covering the ground like a soft blanket. He kept moving until a sudden sound stopped him, a low rumble of thunder. Before Ren could react, rain began to fall hard. The teal forest darkened as water splashed off leaves and branches. Ren hurried to find cover, but slipped on wet roots. He fell, sliding down a small hill, and landed hard on his side. Pain shot through his leg, and his tracker device cracked against a rock. Ren gritted his teeth and pushed himself up, limping forward. The storm worsened. Lightning flashed above, thunder rolling like drums. He searched for shelter but saw only more forest. His rifle felt heavy now, his uniform soaked. Finally, through sheets of rain, he saw a narrow opening in a rock wall cave. He stumbled inside, dropping his gear, breathing hard. The cave was dry and smelled faintly of earth and flowers. Ren leaned against the wall, clutching his leg. He checked the wound. It wasn't broken, but badly bruised. He would need rest before moving again. The sound of rain echoed outside as Ren closed his eyes for a moment, trying to stay awake. He thought about the queen, wondering if she even knew he was coming. He had imagined a monster, something fierce and cruel. But right now, in this strange world, surrounded by beauty, he felt unsure. Hours passed before Ren heard soft footsteps near the cave entrance. His hand reached for the rifle. Heart racing, the footsteps paused, then a figure appeared. It was not a soldier, not an armored queen. It was a young woman. Her skin was pale with a faint teal shimmer under the rainlight. Long hair, dark as night, clung wet to her shoulders. She wore simple woven clothing that looked like it belonged to the forest itself. The woman stood still, looking at Ren with calm eyes. They were bright silver, shining even in the dim cave. She said nothing at first, only tilted her head slightly, as if studying him. Ren raised his rifle halfway but hesitated. She made no move to attack. Instead, She stepped inside slowly and spoke in broken but clear human language. You hurt? Ren froze, surprised. Few aliens spoke human language this well. I'm fine, he said, though his leg ached badly. The woman looked at the bruise, then at Ren's face. She moved closer, hands empty, showing no threat. Slowly, she knelt and placed a small glowing leaf on his wound. It felt cool and soothing. Help, she said softly. Ren stared at her, unsure why she would help an armed human. Why? He asked. She simply smiled, not answering, then stood and walked toward the entrance. Before leaving, she looked back once, eyes gentle, and said, "Safe here, rest." Then she vanished into the rain. Night fell. The storm eased, leaving only distant thunder. Ren sat in the cave, his leg feeling better from the strange plants. Touch, he thought of the mission again. Something felt wrong. The alien he met was not hostile. She helped him without knowing who he was. As he drifted into uneasy sleep, one thought stayed in his mind. This planet was not what he had been told. And the alien queen, if she was like the young woman he just saw, might not be the enemy at all. Warning lights spilled into the cave as Ren opened his eyes. The storm had passed, leaving the forest fresh and glistening with dew. Birds with soft, flute-like calls sang from the treetops. For a moment, Ren almost forgot why he was there. The sound of water dripping from leaves, the soft breeze through the cave entranced it felt peaceful. When he tried to stand, his leg ached, but not as badly as before. The glowing leaf the woman placed on his wound had worked better than anything. In his medical kit, he remembered her calm silver eyes, the way she had helped without hesitation. Ren checked his cracked tracker. The signal was weak, pointing deeper into the forest toward where the alien queen was rumored to be. He packed his gear and stepped outside, planning to continue the mission. But just as he reached the edge of the clearing, he saw her again. The young woman was kneeling near a small stream, filling a woven pouch with water. She noticed him and stood slowly, not afraid. "You walk?" she asked in her quiet voice. "Yes," Ren replied. "Thanks to you." She smiled softly and walked closer. This time, Ren lowered his rifle completely. There was no reason to point it at someone who had saved him. "I am Lena," she said. Touching her chest gently, Ren nodded. "Ren." They stood silently for a while. Ren wasn't used to calm meetings like this on missions. Usually, aliens ran or fought. But Lena was different. "You, soldier?" she asked. Looking at the rifle strapped to his chest, Ren hesitated, then nodded. "Yes." Her silver eyes seemed to study him deeply, as if trying to see something beyond his armor. But she said nothing more, only motioned for him to follow. Lena led Ren along a narrow trail through the glowing forest. Sunlight passed through blue and teal leaves, casting shifting patterns on the ground. Small creatures with soft feathers hopped between branches, chirping softly. After some walking, they reached a hidden valley. Ren's eyes widened. Below, nestled between tall cliffs, was a village. The houses were made of smooth stone and woven vines, blending perfectly with the forest. Smoke rose gently from cooking fires. Alien children ran through the open spaces, laughing, while adults worked in gardens or carried baskets of glowing fruit. Ren had been told aliens were savage fighters, yet this village looked peaceful, almost fragile. Lena guided him down the slope. As they entered, villagers stopped and stared. Ren felt uneasy under their gazes. Some looked afraid, others curious, but none attacked or shouted. A tall elder approached, speaking to Lena in a melodic alien language. She replied softly, gesturing toward Ren. The elder frowned but nodded slowly, allowing them to pass. Lena took her into a small house near the edge of the village. Inside, it smelled of herbs and flowers. There were no machines, only wooden bowls, soft mats, and carved symbols on the walls. "You stay," Lena said simply. "Safe." Ren removed his wet gear and sat on a mat. Lena brought him a bowl of warm, sweet-tasting fruit and a drink made from glowing leaves. He ate slowly, watching her move gracefully around the room. She seemed at ease here. Yet something about her felt different from the others, more confident, more respected. Over the next few days, Ren stayed in the village, partly because his leg needed more rest and partly because Lena insisted he shouldn't travel alone. She showed him the nearby waterfalls where the water sparkled like liquid crystal. She introduced him to children who laughed when Ren tried to say alien words. The villagers slowly began to trust him, though many still kept their distance. At night, Lena would sit by a fire outside, singing soft alien songs. The sound carried through the valley like a gentle wind. Ren would listen quietly, feeling a strange calm he hadn't known in years of war. One evening, while they sat watching fireflies dance in the dark, Ren asked, "Why are you helping me? I'm not from your world." Lena looked at him, her face lit by the soft glow of the fire. "Not all humans bad," she said carefully. "Some fight because they're afraid. You, different." Ren was silent. Maybe she saw something in him he didn't see himself. Days turned to a week. Ren learned that the villagers had lived here for generations, avoiding human soldiers who came to drive them away. They hunted only for food, grew crops, and built homes that didn't harm the land. One afternoon, Lena took her into ancient ruins hidden deep in the forest. Stone arches stood covered in moss, with carvings of stars and planets this old. "Home," Lena said softly. "Before war, before fear." Ren ran his hand over the carvings. They showed humans and aliens together, not fighting but building something side by side. He felt a heavy weight in his chest. His mission had been to stop a threat, but everything he saw here showed peace, not war. "Lena," he said quietly, "maybe everything we were told is wrong." She looked at him with her calm silver eyes, a faint sadness in them, but said nothing. One morning, while Ren prepared to leave, determined to find answers, Lena stopped him. She placed a hand gently on his arm and shook her head. "Danger," she said. "Soldiers come soon. Stay." Ren hesitated. His mission tracker still blinked weakly, pointing toward this valley. Deep down, he already suspected what it meant that the alien queen was nearby, maybe even here. But when Lena smiled softly at him, helping him pack food for his journey, he couldn't imagine harming her or anyone in this village. That night, under twin moons glowing softly above the valley, Ren sat beside Lena near the waterfalls. For the first time since he arrived, he let himself relax completely. When she laughed at his clumsy attempt to speak her language, he couldn't help but smile back, and though he didn't know it yet, that moment would change everything. Morning light filtered through the soft woven walls of the small house where Ren stayed. The smell of warm bread made from alien grain filled the air. He stretched his arms, listening to the distant laughter of children and the gentle sound of water running through the valley. Life here was calm. Unlike anything he had known in his years as a soldier, Lena entered quietly, carrying a basket of fruit and fresh bread. She smiled softly when she saw Ren awake. "Good morning," she said in her slow but clear human words. Ren nodded, returning a small smile. "Morning, Lena." They shared a simple meal together. The bread was sweet, the fruit soft and glowing, faintly from the inside. Ren still found it strange but had grown to like the alien food. When they finished, Lena motioned for him to follow her outside. Today, she wanted to show him more of the valley. As they walked, villagers greeted Lena with respect. Some bowed their heads slightly, others smiled warmly. Ren noticed this and wondered why they treated her differently than others. Lena led Ren to a wide clearing where children played around a large stone circle covered in ancient carvings. The designs were beautiful, swirling shapes of stars, rivers, and strange symbols Ren didn't understand. "This place, old," Lena explained softly. "Home of first queens, place of peace." Ren knelt to touch one of the carvings. It felt smooth, worn down by time. "Queens?" he asked. Lena nodded slowly, but said nothing more. There was something in her eyes, a quiet thought she didn't share. Before Ren could ask again, a group of villagers approached carrying baskets of food. They invited him to join a small gathering. The villagers sat in a circle, passing around fruits and drinks while sharing stories in their melodic alien language. Though Ren didn't understand every word, the warmth and laughter needed no translation. One elder began singing softly. The song told the story of a queen who led their people through dark times, protecting them without war. As the song ended, many villagers looked toward Lena, as if the song was about her. Ren noticed but stayed quiet. Something about Lena was becoming clearer now, though he couldn't fully believe it yet. Later, Lena took her into the forest's edge where bright flowers grew round a crystal-clear spring. She knelt and began gathering petals carefully. For healing, she said when Ren asked. He watched her work, the way she moved with quiet grace. Everyone here respects you, Ren said softly. They look at you like you're someone important. Lena paused, looking at him with calm silver eyes. For a moment, it seemed like she might say something, but then she simply smiled and changed the subject. They spent the afternoon exploring more ruins hidden in the forest. One ruin had tall stone pillars with carvings of alien figures wearing crowns made of glowing light. At the center was a circular platform with symbols similar to those on Ren's mission tracker. Standing there, Ren felt uneasy. He knew this site was connected to his mission. The tracker blinked steadily now, as if pointing directly to this place. He glanced at Lena, who stood quietly, her hand resting on one of the pillars. This place, special to your people, Ren said carefully. Yes, Lena answered softly. Here leaders chosen, protectors. Ren's chest felt heavy. Could this mean the alien queen was chosen here? Could Lena herself have been chosen? That evening, as the sun dipped low and painted the sky in shades of gold and teal, the village gathered again for a ceremony. Ren was invited to watch. In the center of the village, a large fire burned brightly. Villagers danced in circles, their voices rising in song. They held hands, moving together like flowing water. Then, the elder stepped forward, holding a staff decorated with carved symbols. He spoke loudly in their language, and everyone turned toward Lena. She walked slowly to the fire, her face calm but serious. Ren's breath caught as he saw her stand before the elder. The villagers knelt one by one. The elder placed the staff gently in Lena's hands. She lifted it high, and the entire valley echoed with a deep, harmonious sound, as if the forest itself sang with the people. Ren realized the truth. This was not an ordinary ceremony. This was respect for a leader, a protector. Lena wasn't just a villager. She was someone with authority, someone chosen to guide and protect these people. After the ceremony ended, Ren found Lena sitting alone near the waterfall. The moonlight reflected in her silver eyes. You're not just a healer, Ren said softly as he approached. You lead them. You're more than you tell me. Lena looked down at the water, silent for a long moment. Finally, she spoke. In a quiet voice, my people call me queen, she admitted. But not like humans think. I not rule with fear. I only protect. Ren felt his stomach twist. The mission had always been clear: find the alien queen and end her life. But now, looking at Lena, he saw nothing of an enemy. She was gentle, wise, and loved by her people. Why didn't you tell me before? Ren asked. Lena met his eyes. Because human soldiers sent to kill, she said softly. I wanted to see your heart first. Ren felt torn inside. He had been trained to follow orders without question, but nothing in his training prepared him for this. The alien queen was not a monster. She was standing in front of him, having saved his life, shown him peace, and trusted him enough to reveal the truth. That night, Ren lay awake in the small house, listening to the quiet forest sounds. The stars above the valley shone brighter than any he had seen in space. He thought about Commander Solin's words, about humanity's fear of the aliens. Maybe everything was wrong. Maybe the mission itself was a mistake. As sleep finally came, one thing was certain. He could no longer see Lena as an enemy. The mission had changed, even if he didn't yet know what he would do next. Days passed quietly in the hidden valley. Ren stayed in the small house near the edge of the village while his injured leg healed fully. Each morning, sunlight spilled over the teal forests and filled the valley with warmth. Villagers went about their work peacefully, and the sound of laughter and songs floated through the air. Ren had never known a place like this. There were no battle sirens, no tense orders shouted over comms, no fear of the next fight. Instead, there was calm life. Growing in balance with the land. Each day, Lena guided him deeper into her world. She taught him how to gather glowing fruits safely, how to read the forest signs for weather changes, and how to understand the soft calls of native animals. But beyond these lessons, something else grew quietly between them. One afternoon, Rin and Lena hiked up a ridge overlooking the valley. From there, he could see the river winding like a silver ribbon through the teal trees. The sun hung low in the sky, casting long golden shadows. "It's beautiful," Rin said softly. Lena stood beside him, her silver eyes reflecting the sunset. "Yes," she agreed. "Our home, always like this before war." Rin glanced at her. "Why did humans and your people start fighting?" Lena's expression turned sad. She picked up a smooth stone and rolled it in her hand. "Humans came. Fast," she explained slowly. "Built cities, took rivers. My people scared, tried to talk. But humans thought it was attack. Then both sides fought." Rin felt a heavy weight in his chest. He thought about his training, the stories he had been told about aliens being dangerous. Everything sounded different now. "Do you think peace is possible?" Rin asked. Lena looked at him for a long moment before answering. "Maybe," she said quietly, "if someone brave enough to stop fear." Later, they returned to the village. As night fell, the villagers lit lanterns that floated gently in the air like tiny stars. Music filled the valley as they sang old songs about unity and hope. Rin sat near the fire while children gathered around him, curious about the human soldier who had chosen to stay. They asked questions in broken human words, and he answered as best he could. The villagers laughed softly when Rin tried to pronounce alien phrases, but it was friendly laughter, warm and kind. Lena sat nearby, watching with a soft smile. For the first time since he joined the military, Rin felt like he belonged somewhere. The next morning, Lena woke Rin early. She wanted to show him something important. They walked beyond the village, following a narrow path along the river until they reached ancient stone steps leading up a hill. At the top stood a circle of stones, older than any other ruins he had seen. In the center was a tree unlike any other. Its bark shimmered silver, and its leaves glowed faintly. "This is Heart Tree," Lena said softly. "Queens of past stood here to promise peace." Rin stepped closer, feeling the quiet power of the place. "Did you?" he asked. Lena nodded. "Yes, I promised to protect my people, not fight war." Rin touched the tree gently. The thought of completing his mission of harming this place, harming Lena, felt impossible now. "Lena," he began, but before he could say more, a distant sound cut through the quiet air. It was faint but unmistakable, the low hum of human aircraft engines. They hurried back to the village. From a high ridge, Rin could see dark shapes moving far across the sky. Dropships, armored and heavy, heading toward the valley. Rin's heart raced. He knew that sound well. It was the military. Commander Solon had likely sent a full unit, believing Rin hadn't completed his mission. "They're coming," Rin said urgently. "We need to hide your people." The villagers gathered quickly as word spread. Fear showed in their eyes, but they did not scream or panic. Instead, they looked to Lena for guidance. She stood tall in front of them, calm and steady. "Stay near caves," Lena told them in her native language. "Take children and elders. Stay quiet." The villagers obeyed, moving swiftly but silently to safety. Rin stayed beside Lena. "They won't stop," Rin said quietly. "Even if you hide, they'll search everywhere." Lena's silver eyes met his. "I know," she said softly, "but I not fight them. Killing more only bring more war." Rin felt torn. He had been trained to protect humans, yet here he was, standing with aliens against his own kind. But he couldn't turn back now. As night fell, Rin and Lena stood near the edge of the forest, watching distant fires where human troops camped. "They think you're a threat," Rin said quietly. "But they don't see what I see." Lena looked at him, her face calm even in the danger ahead. "You see truth," she said softly. "That is why you stayed." There was a silence between them, filled only by the sound of night creatures moving in the forest. Rin realized his mission had completely changed. He wasn't here to kill anymore. He was here to protect. The next morning, soldiers began moving toward the valley from a hidden ridge. Rin saw their weapons and armored suits glinting in the sun. He knew their tactics. They would sweep through the forest, leaving no one behind. Rin turned to Lena. We can't fight them head-on, but maybe we can show them this place before they attack. Lena tilted her head slightly. Show them peace? Rin nodded. If they see the truth, maybe they'll stop. Lena thought for a moment, then said softly, It is dangerous, but I trust you. That night, as the villagers hid in the caves, Rin and Lena planned their next move. Rin used his damage tracker to send a weak message to Commander Solon. Mission changed. Do not attack, need to talk. He didn't know if it would reach the commander or if it would stop the assault, but it was all he could do. Before sleeping, Rin and Lena sat near the waterfall again. The twin moons reflected on the water's surface, glowing softly. You could run, Lena said quietly. Leave this world before humans find you. Rin shook his head. Not without you. Not without them knowing the truth. Lena's silver eyes softened. She placed her hand gently over his. Then we stand together, she said. And in that quiet moment under the moons, Rin realized he had found something far greater than any mission. He had found trust, purpose, and a bond he could never betray. Morning light broke over the valley, but there was no peace this time. Rin and Lena stood on a rocky ridge, watching as human dropships landed just beyond the forest. Dark figures in armor marched out, forming lines and scanning the terrain with heavy weapons. Rin felt a deep unease. He knew these soldiers well organized, fast, and ready to strike at the first sign of resistance. Commander Solon had likely assumed Rin was dead or had failed, and now a full strike team had been sent to finish the job. They will come soon, Rin said quietly. We don't have much time. Lena stood beside him, calm as always. Your people will not listen. They'll see any alien as a threat, Rin admitted. But if they see you, if they hear you, maybe it can change. Lena's silver eyes turned toward the forest where soldiers moved closer. It is dangerous, she said softly, but maybe this is the only way. Back in the caves, villagers huddled together, whispering nervously. Rin reassured them, promising he and Lena would keep them safe. The elder placed a hand on Lena's shoulder, speaking in their language a prayer or blessing. Rin gathered what little human equipment he had left: a cracked communicator, a flare, and his rifle. He had no intention of using the weapon, but carrying it might give him a chance to talk before fighting started. Lena prepared as well, not with weapons, but by wearing a simple ceremonial cloak of white and teal, symbols of peace woven along its edges. The sight made Rin realize just how different this mission had become. They moved carefully through the forest until they reached the clearing, where human soldiers had set up their camp. Hidden behind thick trees, Rin used his communicator to send a distress ping. Within minutes, soldiers moved toward their position, rifles raised. Stay behind me, Rin whispered to Lena as they stepped into the open. The soldiers shouted commands. Surrounding them, one approached a tall man in command armor. As soon as he lifted his helmet visor, Rin recognized Commander Solon. Solon's voice was sharp. You were supposed to report days ago. What happened? Where's the target? Rin stood firm. Commander, listen to me. Everything we were told is wrong. These people aren't enemies. The Queen isn't what we think. Solon's eyes narrowed. You've been compromised. Step aside, soldier. We'll handle it. Rin shook his head. No. You need to see the truth first. No attacks. Just talk. Solon gestured to Lena, his voice turning hard. That's one of them. You brought it here, Rin. They are dangerous. Step away. Rin didn't move. Instead, Lena stepped forward slowly. She raised her hands to show peace. When she spoke, her soft voice carried across the clearing. No fight, she said in broken human language. We wish peace, not war. The soldiers hesitated, surprised to hear her speak their language. Solon looked confused but not convinced. Where's the Queen? He demanded. We know she's here. Lena glanced at Rin. He nodded slightly, silently telling her to speak the truth. I'm Queen, Lena said clearly. Her voice was steady, But there was no pride or threat in it, only calm honesty. The soldiers stiffened, weapons tightening in their grips. Solon's face hardened. So it's true. Then we end this now. Before Solon could give the order, Ren stepped between them, his rifle lowered but ready. Commander, if you attack, you'll destroy people who only want to live in peace. I've seen them. There's no army here, no weapons, only families. Solon's eyes flashed with anger. You've forgotten your duty, Ren. Humanity cannot expand while their queen lives. Ren's voice rose, firm and desperate. No, humanity cannot survive if we destroy every peaceful world we find. This isn't protection, it's fear. The clearing fell silent. Soldiers glanced at each other, unsure. Lena stood tall, unarmed, her silver eyes meeting Solon's without fear. To prove his words, Ren fired a flare into the sky. From the forest's edge, villagers slowly emerged, unarmed, carrying only children and supplies. They stood quietly, not threatening anyone. Look at them, Ren said, pointing toward the villagers. Does this look like an empire planning to destroy us? They've been running, hiding, just trying to survive. Killing Lena won't save humanity, it'll make us the monsters. Solon hesitated. He had fought many battles, but had never seen aliens stand this way, peaceful, united, without hatred in their eyes. Lena took a small step closer. We can share, she said gently. We give water, land, peace. We not harm. One of the younger soldiers lowered his weapon. Then another. The mood shifted as doubt spread through the human ranks. Solon's command wavered. This doesn't change the orders, Solon muttered. But his voice lacked its usual certainty. Ren spoke again. Softer now, Commander. You taught me that being human means more than just surviving. It means choosing what's right. This is our choice now. Lena slowly removed the ceremonial cloak and placed it at Solon's feet, a symbol of trust. We want friendship, she said simply. Solon stared at the cloak, then at Lena, and finally at Ren. His hardened expression slowly softened. He raised his hand, signaling the soldiers to stand down. No one fires, Solon ordered quietly, relief washed over the clearing. Villagers cautiously moved closer. Humans and aliens stood face to face for the first time without anger or fear. Ren exhaled, shoulders finally relaxing. Lena glanced at him, her calm face breaking into a small, grateful smile. But deep inside, Ren knew this was only the beginning. A single commander could not end years of fear and war. There would be others, leaders, armies who still believed in destroying the alien queen. For now, though, they had stopped the bloodshed. A fragile bridge had been built, one that might one day lead to peace. That night, in the quiet valley, humans and villagers shared food around glowing fires. There was no music yet, only careful conversation and hesitant smiles. Ren sat beside Lena near the waterfall, away from the others. The moons reflected in her silver eyes as she spoke softly. Today changed everything, Lena said. Ren nodded. It's not over, but it's a start. She looked at him with gentle warmth. I trusted you, she whispered. Ren met her gaze, his voice steady. And I'll keep proving you were right. As they sat there, the sound of water and soft wind around them, Ren realized something profound. He had not only saved an alien queen, he had found something far greater than his mission. He had found hope for two worlds. The desert of Varen was quiet after Varek's surrender. For the first time in weeks, no shots were fired, no traps were triggered, and no war drums echoed across the dunes. The Ravnak clans had laid down their weapons and began preparing to leave the planet. But peace did not last. High above the desert, massive Imperial warships entered orbit. The Empire had received word of the mercenary rebellion and sent new commanders to crush both the humans and the Ravnak who had refused orders. On the ground, Ryan's team watched the ships through binoculars. Mira stood beside him, worry on her face. They're sending another army, she said. This time, not just mercenaries, Imperial soldiers. Ryan nodded slowly. They'll try to force the Ravnak back into battle or destroy them. We can't let that happen. If the clans fight again, everything we've built will fall apart. In the distance, Varric and his loyal captains prepared their people for departure. Large transports were being repaired and loaded with supplies. Many warriors were relieved, speaking quietly about going home. Yet when the Imperial dropships landed, the relief turned to fear. The new Imperial commander, General Klein, marched into the Ravanac camp with armored guards. He was not like Overseer Ron. Klein had a reputation for ruthlessness and control, standing tall in polished armor. He addressed the gathered mercenaries with a sharp voice. "You were hired to destroy the humans," Klein declared. "You were paid in full. And now I hear you have thrown down your weapons and bowed to the enemy." No Ravanac replied. Many stood silent, gripping their tools instead of rifles. Klein's gaze turned to Varric. "You are their captain. You started this betrayal. I give you one chance. Pick up your weapon and finish this war, or face destruction." Varric stepped forward, calm but firm. "General, we have fought enough. Against these humans, we cannot win. They fight with shadows and strategy. We will not die for an empty victory." Klein's voice turned cold. "Then, you will die for disobedience." The humans observed this confrontation from a distance. Ryan, crouched in a canyon with Mira, listened to intercepted comms. "They're threatening to execute the Ravanac leaders," Mira reported. Ryan adjusted his visor. "We won't let that happen. But we can't fight a full Imperial army head on. We need the clans to stand together." Mira frowned. "They're unarmed. Then we show them they're stronger than they think," Ryan replied. The next day, Klein gathered his troops for a public show of force. Dozens of Imperial soldiers lined up, weapons ready, in front of the Ravanac camp. Klein announced loud enough for all to hear, "Any mercenary who refuses to fight will be marked as a traitor. Your families will lose payment. Your honor will be stripped. And today, we begin with your leader." He raised his weapon toward Varric. Before he could fire, something unexpected happened. Hundreds of Ravanac warriors stepped forward, not with guns, but standing shoulder to shoulder in silent defiance. None of them moved to attack, yet their unity was unshaken. Klein's soldiers hesitated. They had not expected such a stand. Varric's voice rang out across the desert. "You can kill me. You can kill every warrior here. But you cannot force us to fight a war that cannot be won. We will not be your tools anymore." A murmur spread through the ranks of the Ravanac. Even those who had been uncertain now stepped forward, forming a massive unarmed wall. From the canyon ridge, Ryan saw the moment and spoke softly. "This is it. This is the standoff." Mira nodded. "Do we step in?" "Not yet," Ryan said. "This is their stand. If they hold together, the Empire loses without a shot fired." Klein, frustrated, ordered his soldiers to move in. But as they advanced, something unexpected happened. The desert came alive with sound-human drones broadcasting warnings. Holographic reinforcements appearing on dunes. Fake artillery flashes lighting up the horizon. Imperial troops stopped. Confused, through their comms, false reports shouted of massive human forces surrounding them. Panic spread as officers argued over whether they were walking into another ambush. Like the last mercenary army, Klein shouted for order, but fear had already taken root. At that moment, Varric stepped closer to the general. "You seen what humans did to the last army? They did it without ships, without numbers. Imagine what happens if you try again now, with them already waiting for you." Klein looked toward the dunes where flickers of holographic soldiers moved in the dust. His soldiers shifted uneasily, recalling the stories of entire battalions vanishing in the canyons. Suddenly, one Imperial squad refused to advance. They lowered their weapons, unwilling to risk another invisible defeat. Then another squad did. The same dotted minutes, nearly half of Klein's soldiers stood down. The general's face twisted in anger. "Cowards!" he shouted. But the truth was clear. No one wanted to be the next story told around campfires about the humans who destroyed armies without showing their faces. Ryan saw the shift and finally gave the signal. From high ground, he stepped into view with Mira and several of his soldiers. They carried no heavy weapons, only their light gear. "You've heard the stories," Ryan called out across the desert. "You've seen what happens when you try to crush us. This planet does not belong to the Empire. Leave now, and no more of your soldiers vanish into the sand." Klein glared at him, gripping his weapon. But behind him, dozens of Imperial soldiers were already retreating to their transports. The fear of another unseen disaster was stronger than any order. Finally, Varric spoke again, his voice calm but commanding. "This war is finished. The clans will leave. If the Empire sends more armies, they will see what we have seen, and none will return." Klein realized he had lost not to weapons, but to unity and fear. With no army left willing to fight, he had no choice but to pull back. The Imperial ships lifted off hours later, leaving the desert silent once more. As the sun set, Ravanac. Warriors dismantled their camps and prepared their transports for departure. Many approached the humans quietly, offering nods of respect. Varric met with Ryan one last time before leaving. "You fought without fighting," Varric said. "You showed us that courage is not only found in battle. My people will remember this." Ryan shook his hand firmly. "And will remember you stood against the Empire when it mattered." Mira watched the last transports rise into the sky. "It's truly over," she whispered. Ryan looked across the quiet desert. "For now. But the Empire will return one day. And when they do, they'll think twice before underestimating humans again." The wind swept across the empty battlefield, carrying away the last traces of war. Varen was silent, not because of defeat, but because the humans had taught the galaxy that some battles are won without firing a single shot. Weeks passed after the Empire's forces withdrew from Varen. The once barren desert was now calm. With no battles or marching armies, the Ravanac clans had left the planet, carrying with them stories of human tactics that would spread far beyond the desert sands. Commander Ryan and his small special ops team stayed behind to help rebuild the human colony. The war had left ruins, broken machines, and burned supply yards, but the people were alive. The victory had not been won by overwhelming force, but by fear, patience, and unity. One evening, as the sun dipped below the dunes, Ryan stood on a high cliff overlooking the settlement. Mira joined him, her boots crunching softly against the sand. "They're safe now," Mira said quietly. "No more mercenaries, no more warships." Ryan nodded, but kept his eyes on the horizon. "For now. The Empire may return, but this time, they'll think differently. They'll remember how one small team made their armies crumble without a single major battle." Mira smiled faintly. "The Ravanac will tell their people what happened here. They'll tell others too. Word will spread, and it did. Far across alien trade routes and distant colonies, stories of Varen spread like wildfire. The tale was whispered in crowded taverns, sung by wandering spacers, and discussed in secret among other mercenary bands. They say humans fight like shadows. One alien told another in a busy spaceport. They don't need big ships or massive armies. They watch, they wait. And then your army just disappears." Another alien, a veteran mercenary, nodded gravely. "I've seen the reports. The Ravanac clans came back broken. Entire armies refused to fight again. They said facing humans was like facing ghosts. They could see you, but you could never see them. Soon, mercenary recruiters struggled to find soldiers willing to take contracts against humans. Fear of unseen tactics spread faster than any fleet could travel. Meanwhile, in the desert colony, life slowly returned to normal. Farmers repaired irrigation lines. Children played outside without fear. Soldiers who had defended their homes helped rebuild rather than fight. One day, a small Ravanac shuttle returned not for war, but for peace. Varric stepped out, unarmed, accompanied by a few loyal warriors. Ryan met him at the landing site. "You came back," Ryan said. Varric nodded. "Not to fight, to thank you. My people are safe because of you. We wanted to return supplies we took during the contract, and to warn you." Ryan raised an eyebrow. "Warn us. The Empire is angry." Varric explained. "They lost face here. They may try again with new weapons or another fleet. But now, many mercenary clans refuse to fight humans. They say no amount of money is worth walking into a war you can never win." Mira joined them, listening carefully. "Will the Ravanac fight again if the Empire forces them?" Varric shook his head. No, we will not fight humans, not ever. We have seen what you can do. As Varric's ship departed again, Ryan gathered his team for one final meeting. We came here as a small force, Ryan told them. We had no big army, no warships, but we stood for something protection, not conquest. That is why we won. And now, this story will remind the galaxy that humans are not to be underestimated. Carlin, one of the youngest soldiers, spoke. Do you think other human colonies will hear about it too? Ryan nodded. Yes, and when they do, they'll know they don't need massive fleets to defend themselves, just courage, patience, and unity, Mira added with a smile, and maybe a little fear. Months later, human trading ships reported strange events across different star systems. In one sector, an alien warlord canceled an invasion of a human mining outpost after hearing tales of Varen. In another, mercenary bands refused contracts to attack a frontier settlement, claiming, "We've heard what special ops did on that desert world. We're not going to disappear into the sand." Even imperial governors, who once mocked humans as weak, began requesting more intelligence reports before considering any military action. The silent victory of Varen had reshaped how the galaxy viewed humanity not as conquerors, but as defenders who could not be broken. Back on Varen, a memorial stone was placed in the desert where the final standoff had occurred. It bore simple words, carved in multiple alien and human languages. Here, no great battle was fought. Yet here, a war was ended. Every year, survivors of the conflict gathered at the stone. Some were humans who defended the colony. Some were Ravnak warriors who had once marched to destroy it, but chose to lay down arms instead. Together, they stood in silence, remembering the moment unity won over violence. One evening, as Ryan prepared to leave Varen for another mission, Mira stood with him by the departing shuttle. "Do you think this will last?" she asked. Ryan looked at the horizon one last time. Legends last longer than battles. As long as they remember Varen, no army will ever look at humans the same way again. As the shuttle lifted off, the desert below shimmered under the twin suns. The wind erased old tracks of war, leaving only calm sand dunes and the story of a victory that needed no great battle, only courage and quiet determination. And somewhere, across distant stars, when mercenaries heard the name humans, they no longer thought of weak settlers or easy prey. They thought of Varen. They thought of the shadows in the desert. They thought of an army that refused to fight because it had seen what humans could do to the last. One